Okay, so I have started the recording. I'll just repeat, recapitulate what we have discussed before the recording so that it gets recorded. The question is, we have defined two functions of the same name whose signature is exactly the same. We have defined it twice in this same program. So the question is, can we have two functions of the same name within the same program? Or in other words, if I compile this program and run it, will this program compile and run? So,
Sir, I think it will cause an error because we are using the same data type in the parameters.
okay, so it will give an error, and if what can possibly be the message of that error, the statement that the compiler will output?
Same data types.
Okay, so let's compile and see. Let's verify. Okay. So it's giving us an error saying redefinition of this function in display param. Okay, and it also gives you the first definition it was previously defined here. So it gives you both lines to tell you that if you go and see on those two lines, you will see that the same function is defined twice. Okay. So in C++, you can define one identifier only once. Okay. Same goes for variables. You can have a variable of, one name for only one variable. You can't have two variables of the same name. But in function, it's slightly different because this double definition is giving us an error because in C++ we define only once. So this double definition is giving us an error, and it is right to give an error because when we are calling here display params in line number 18, the compiler does not know it should jump to which code, which function are we calling. Okay, so the compiler does not know that what is your intention, which function you want to execute. Okay, so that's why, as Mohammad Fareh pointed out, there is an ambiguity on line number 18 that we are calling which function. Okay, so that's why this program gives us an compile time error. Usman, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. So what if we change the data type of the function at line 9 to float मगर उसके arguments int ही रखें?
The return type, okay, I'm coming to that. So, okay, so let us see. Okay, so this is clear that if the function definition is exactly the same, then it gives us an error of redefinition. Okay, because there is an ambiguity that on line number 18 it does not know which function we are trying to call. Okay, so it does not know where to jump the execution flow of the program. So that's why it is confused and it gives you an error. Now let us slightly change this second definition, and in parameters we have like, let's make it characters. Okay. So what will happen now? I have this function called display params. It's defined twice. In the first definition, it has two arguments of type int, and in the second definition, it has two arguments of type character. So when I compile and run this program, will this program compile and run? Okay, so you guys are saying yes, so let us verify. Okay, no error. It compiles and runs. Okay, there is no compiling time error, but the question still remains, when we call this function on line number 18 display params, which function will be called? the one with the single A and B or the one with triple A's and triple B's?
Single A, single B.
Why?
Because sir, the parameter we are passing to the function are both of integer types. So it will compare both of them. So the parameters of the first functions are int type, so it will call the int one. And
Very
the A
good.
and B in there is single.
Very good. So here we are calling on line number 18, we are calling function display params, and we are passing it the parameters or arguments of type int. Okay. So although in the above definitions, both functions have the type, I mean, their name is display params, but you from these argument types of type int, the compiler is able to guess that since we are passing it arguments of type int, then most probably it is our intention to call this function, which is on line number 4, okay, because it's parameters of type int. And the second function, I mean the second display parameter, is parameters of type character. And since we are passing on line number 18, we are passing parameters of type int. So the compiler can make an intelligent, educated guess that since the programmer is giving this function parameters of type int, then most probably they are trying to call the first definition of this function. Okay, and we can then verify this our assumption by running this program. And you see single A, single B, because it's calling the first definition of the function. Okay, and just to verify this hypothesis, we basically no, not X, let's call it T. Okay, so these character letters, and this time we call the same function, but this time we pass it arguments of type character. Okay. So again, we'll see that the compiler will be able to guess our intention, and it basically calls the second definition of the function, which has parameters of type character. Okay. So this phenomenon where we can have two functions whose name is same, but their parameters are different in either number of parameters or in types of the parameters. Okay, so there should be some difference between the function signature or function prototype based on which the compiler should be able to distinguish the two functions. Okay, so here the number of parameters is the same. There is no difference in the number of parameters of the two functions, but there is a difference between the parameter types of the two definitions. Okay, so the compiler basically can recognize these functions based on their prototypes. Okay, so internally the compiler basically distinguish between functions based on their signatures. Okay, so let me call signature of a function is composed of its name, func name, and arg1 type, arg2 type, and if there are other arguments, then similarly like this. Right? So the basically internally the compiler does not only retain the name of the functions, internally it stores the signature of the functions. Okay, and the signature contains name as well as number and types of their arguments. Okay, so based on this signature, the compiler can basically distinguish between these two functions. Let's say this function, the signature would be something like this: display parent underscore int underscore int. Okay, And for the second function, okay, so internally the compiler will be storing their signatures, and based on their signatures, it can basically differentiate between the two definitions, and based on the parameters that we pass when calling the function, it can basically construct the correct signature of the function that it will call or whose code it will execute. Okay, is this thing clear? Okay, and to others other than Muhammad Fareh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, does anybody has any doubt, any questions, any confusion about this? So the technical name for this phenomenon, we call it function overloading. Okay, so function overloading. Okay, so sometimes in terms of languages, we use this concept that a word can have multiple meanings. Okay, the same word, when used in different contexts, it could have multiple meanings. Similarly, a function also, the same function, I mean the same name of the function, the same name could have different codes or different executions or different bodies or different implementations. Okay? So we can say that display param function has two implementations in this example. So this phenomenon is called overloading, that function has multiple roles or multiple executions or multiple definitions. Okay, and we can distinguish those. We can distinguish between those function definitions based on the function signatures. Okay? So function signature is basically internally the compiler identifies each function by its signature. Okay, and the signature of a function is composed of the function name and the types of its argument, number and types of its arguments. Okay? So func name, arg1 type, arg2 type, and then it continues like this. So here for the first definition, the signature would be display params underscore int underscore int. Okay? And for the second definition, the signature is display params underscore char underscore char. Okay? So this way, using the signatures, the compiler basically keeps track of or differentiates between the two different definitions of this function, the name of the function is the same, display params, but the signature is different, with which the compiler can identify. So let me see. If we perform bitwise AND operation on two reference variables, is that operator overloading? Operator overloading, for the moment, leave it. We'll study it in the next semester. Okay. So Usman, you want to ask a question?
यस सर सर अगर जो लाइन 12 पे फंक्शन है इसके अगर हम टाइप फ्लोट कर दें और आर्ग्यूमेंट्स जो हैं वो लाइन 7 वाले फंक्शन के रखें फिर क्या होगा?
Achha, you are saying that we change not the parameters but the return type.
यस
Okay, so let us basically repeat this experiment, but this time we change the, oh no. Okay, so there are three definitions of display params here. The first two definitions, they differ only in the return type. Okay, the name and the arguments are name, the number of arguments, and the type of arguments are exactly the same, but the return type of both functions is different. So let us try to compile this. Good question. Okay. Now you see it is giving us an error. It is giving you this float definition and this int definition. Okay, float and int, and it is saying that ambiguating new declaration of float, etc., etc. Old declaration was here. Okay. So again, it is unable to distinguish between the two, the first two definitions, because the signature of a function does not contain the return type. Okay, the signature of a function only contains the name of the function and the number and types of its arguments. It does not contain the return type. So for all practical purposes, internally, these two functions have the same signature, and the compiler, when you call a function with this signature, the compiler will not be able to identify which function you are intending to call. Okay, so the function overloading basically distinguishes between different implementations or different definitions only based on names and number and types of arguments. Return type is not considered in function overloading. Does that answer your question?
सर अगर इसके पैरामीटर्स को फ्लोट में हम करके देखें तब मेरे ख्याल से चल जाएगा.
Yes, but there will be a problem. I mean, problem in the sense, okay, let me explain. Sorry. And here it will be. So will this, I mean, here, do all the implementation of display params, do they have the same signatures or do they have different signatures? Will the compiler be able to differentiate between these three implementations using the signatures of the function? Hello. Can you guys hear me? Okay, thank you, Mohammed Fareh. Yes, it can differentiate because the signatures are different. Okay, so when I compile this function, I will not get a redefinition error because when you change the types of the parameters, it's not a redefinition, it's a different function. Okay, the signature is different, so for all practical purposes, it's a different function. It compiles. Now, if we run this, yeah, but let us put some differentiation between these two functions. This one make it, let us make it 2a's and 2b's. Oops. So we compile and it compiles successfully. Now if we run, oh no, it's like we are calling the int version. Let us call, I mean the character version. Let us call the int version. Sorry. Okay, so you see now it can differentiate since we are giving us the int versions. It will be able to call the int, I mean the first definition, which is for integers. Is it clear, Usman Tahir? Okay, good. Now, before I move further, there's another interesting situation in which I comment this function. Yeah. Now, the definition with two integers does not exist now, and we have only two definitions of these functions, one with float and one with characters. Okay? But when we call this function, we are passing it two integers. Okay? Now the question is, what will happen now? Will this function or this program compile? Very good, Mohammad Fareh. It will compile. I mean, I think it will compile. Let me first verify before I say something stupid. Okay. I did say something stupid. XY. So when we call display params, it says that there are two candidates, one with floats and one with characters, and it does not know which one to call. Okay, so it says call of overloaded display is ambiguous. Okay, so I stand corrected, and this gives an error. Okay, in C it would have done what Mohammad Fareh said, that it would have automatically tried to convert the parameters to one of the existing implementations, and it would have seen that integers can be converted to floats, and it would have called the float one. But in C++, the type checking is more strict, and it would be, it gave us an error that the call to display params is ambiguous. Okay, is it correct? Is it clear? What if the function data type is int and the variables x and y are float? Okay. Here you go, and we call it. So now we have a definition with integers, and we are basically passing them, float arguments. Okay, let us have a guessing game. Those who think it will give an error. Same error. Others? 50-50 others? Error. Others? Okay. Okay, not many people seem interested in playing the game, so okay. I'm also not sure, but my guess would have also been an error, so let us compile it. Again, error. It says that it is ambiguous. We are passing it floats, and it has only two candidates. One is with integer parameters, other is with character parameters, and none of them fits the float. Okay, so C++ is much more strict in type checking. Yep. Is it clear to everybody? Function overload, what does it mean? What is if it yes, if you typecast, then it will work. Okay, we can do it in typecast. I hope you guys know typecast. We can sometimes we can convert one type into another by explicitly telling the compiler, and in that case, by the time it reaches the function argument, it's already converted to integers. Okay, so there you go, and now it's okay. Is the concept of function overloading clear? You can have multiple functions of the same name, but they should differ in either the number of arguments or types of arguments. Okay, and this is called function overloading. Okay, let me see how much time is left. Okay, we still have 5 minutes. Okay, so there's one other thing that you guys, I think it's interesting to know. In function, just like when you create a variable, you can give it a default value at initialization. Okay? A similar concept applies to function arguments. When there are many function arguments, sometimes you can specify default values for certain function arguments. Okay? So let's say I give this the last variable, I give it the value 55. Okay? So what I can do is I'll release these other definitions so that they do not clutter our environment, and this will make it integer. Now we do not need the typecast. Okay. So function arguments, we can give them default values. In this case, when the function is called, if the argument with a default value is passed a value, then the value passed in the argument will be used. Okay? But if the function with a default argument, default value is not passed argument at that particular place, then the default value will be used. Okay? So here, I think it will be more clear with an example. So here we have function display parameters, takes two parameters, int a, int b, and we have given the value 55 to default value to b. Okay? And when calling the function, we are passing it two arguments, x for a and y for b, with values 7 and 9. So let us compile and run this function. Okay? Although there was a default value for b, but since when calling the function we explicitly passed it the value y, value 9, it overrides the default value. Okay, when you explicitly pass a value, it overrides the default value. That is why it's displaying 9. But let's say there was an argument, we passed it only one argument and skipped the second argument. Okay, we passed it one value as first argument, second argument we skipped. In that case, if there is a default value, then it will use the default value. You see, we passed in only one value, one argument, and for the second argument, it used the default value. So this is a concept where we can initialize function parameters by giving them default values. And sometimes it's useful because you do not know what to provide for each of the argument values. In that case, you can only pass the relevant arguments, and for the other arguments, automatically default values will be used. Okay, is it clear the concept of a default value? Okay, and to others? Okay, I hope it is clear to others also. There are just a couple of more things that you guys should remember about default values. One is that you can't have a uh, parameter with a default value and after that another parameter without a default value. Okay? If a parameter has a default value, then all the parameters after that parameter should also have default values. Okay, this is obligatory, at least in C++. Here we have a default value for A, but no default value for B. This is wrong syntax. In C++, you should have, once you have a default value for one argument, I mean in any argument, then all arguments coming after that argument should also have default values. Okay? So since in the previous example, B had a default value, but B was the last argument, there was no argument after B, so it was not a problem. But if we remove the default value from B and give A a default value, then this will be wrong because any argument with default value should not be followed by an argument which does not have a default value. Okay, we can also compile it to see. You see, it gives an error because it says that default argument is missing for parameter 2. Okay, if A has a default value, then B should also have a default value. Is it clear? Yes, Uzair.
Sir, I am not able to send a message in the chat. I don't know why.
Okay, I also don't know because I haven't done anything special for you. It looks all normal on my end. But you can ask your question.
Sir, kindly sir, count me in, sir, in the attendance.
Okay, but do you have any question regarding this default value?
No, sir. Sir, may I leave?
Just wait a minute. Anybody else has a question about default value? Okay, it seems nobody is interested or everybody's understood everything. So, okay, so we take a break and then we come back at 6 p.m. to discuss the final pattern and any other question that you guys may have. So I'll stop this recording here. You can mark your attendance in the chat, and we meet again at 6 p.m. after a small break. Okay?